Lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 is done all in pictorial form. That means the pictures are drawn to represent the variable x and the numbers. So I'm going to go through and do most of these with you because this is the foundation for going on to lesson 2. I'm going to use a mix of materials. I'm going to use my one that I made at home instead of my mat, but I am going to use the number blocks. They're just easier to handle. I'm going to go ahead and use my little butterscotch pieces for my little X's or my pawns. You can see I wrote in a little equal sign there for me. You won't have that on your sheet that you see online, but right where this little upside down T is, or perpendicular sign, that's where the equals sign would be. So I have my 2 blue pawns on the left, I have a 10 block, or anything that totals 10 on the right, and because these are the same size, same shape, they have to be the same number. So even though 1 plus 9 equals 10, because these are the same size and same shape, they can't be a 1 and a 9. They have to be the exact same number. So we know that 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So on our notebook, for number 1, we're going to then write x equals 5. And if x is equal to 5, then the two sides of the equations do indeed equal 10, because 2 times 5 is 10, and that does equal 10. So in my notebook, my check is going to be 10 equals 10. The next problem shows an x value with a 2 block, and that's equal to 9. So I'm going to have clear my board, and I'm going to put what it says, x value, and a 2 block, and on the other side I'm going to have a 9. On this one, I can simply ask myself, what number plus 2 would equal 9? And I know that that number would be 7. We're starting out pretty simple because we want to get a good grasp on our representations here, what they are. So again, in my notebook, I'm going to write that x is equal to 7. And then the check is, do the two sides equal each other when this is 7? So 7 plus 2 is 9. That does equal 9. So I'm going to write for my check, 9 equals 9. Number 3 has 2 pawns and a 3 block on one side and a 7 on the other. So 2 pawns and a 3 and a 7 on the other. So I'm going to take this block and turn it into a 7. I need 2 pawns and I need my 3 block. Now this one's a little more difficult only because we have 2 pawns here. If I were to just pretend, and you might remember in class that I used to put the pawns on top of each other so that it kind of looked like one pawn, I could ask myself, what one number plus 3 gives me 7? Well, that would be 4. So these 2 pawns have to be the same number, and they have to total 4, because 4 plus 3 is 7. So each one of these pawns is equal to a 2. So in my notebook, I write 2, and then I have to check, and I have to see how much I have on this side. If this is 2 and this is 2, that's 4 plus 3, I have 7. That does indeed equal 7. So 7 equals 7 is my check. My next problem is showing me something different. You'll notice up until this problem, I haven't had any pawns on the right-hand side. Now I'm going to have pawns or x values on both sides of the equal sign. And when I have that situation, it's a little more challenging, but I think you know how to do this. So as a review, I'll set this one up. I have a pawn and an 8 block and 3 pawns on the other side. So here's my pawn, here's my 8 block, and here are 1, 2, 3 pawns on the other side. Now, when I have pawns or x's on both sides of my equation, my equal sign, I want to find the side that has the least number, the fewest of my pawns or my x's. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide those down. I'm not going to take them totally away. I'm just going to pull them down. I only have 1 on this side, and my rules in math say if I do something to one side of an equation, I have to do the exact same thing to the other side. So because I pulled down 1 here, I'm going to pull down 1 here. So now I have an 8 is equal to something plus itself, or 2 times something. Well, you know your doubles, and 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So my x value for this problem is 4. And I'm going to check it. When I have pulled things down, before I check, I have to put the problem back the way it was originally. So originally, I had both of these up here. So if these are all 4s, 8 plus 4 is 12, and on the other side, 3 times 4 is 12. So my check for this problem is 12 equals 12. Okay, number 5. Number 5, I have 2 pawns and a 2 and a 4. So I'm going to clear my board, 2 pawns and a 2 block, or the number 2, and a 4. Now you can probably figure this one out pretty easily. Again, if we only had 1 of these here, and I could stack these, I would say what number plus 2 equals 4? Well, that would be 2. So each one of these must equal 1. So on my answer sheet, I'm going to write in x equals 1, and then I'm going to check to make sure that indeed both sides are equal. So on this side I have a total of 4, and on this side I have a total of 4. I'm going to stop this video now because it's getting long. I don't like to make videos over 10 minutes because they tend to take a long time to load. So I'll do the next 6 problems on the next video.